Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're immersing ourselves in a personal website.
That's right, it's vulcandiane.com. Not your typical source material for us.
Exactly. Forget the usual reports or papers. This is, well, it's a look into someone's personal digital space, a window into their life, their work, the influences, what shaped them.
And our mission, really, is to explore this space together. We'll try to uh, peel back the layers, see what insights we can find about the person behind it all.
Yeah, figure out their background, what they're passionate about, the kind of ideas they're putting out there.
So where do we start? First impressions.
Okay, yeah. So, landing on the homepage, there's a welcome note, something about a refreshed interface, looks clean.
Standard stuff, mostly. And the navigation.
Pretty standard, yeah. Home, about which is Ben Kamim, latest news, contact. But then there are two slightly unusual ones. Unforgettable Adevefa.
Adevefa, yeah. Loyalty, remembrance. Interesting title.
And radio. And it actually highlights that the radio section has, just started broadcasting.
Okay, so right away, it feels like a mix. You've got the reflective stuff, like unforgettable, but also active things like news and radio.
Yeah, it's not just a static page. Seems quite dynamic.
So should we dig into the About section, the Ben Kamim?
Let's do it. I mean, who am I? That's where you expect the basics, right? But the answer here, it's different.
Oh, how so?
Well, where are you from? The answer given quotes Barış Manço, the Turkish musician. This world is my homeland.
Wow, okay. That sets a tone, doesn't it? Referencing a major cultural figure like that right off the bat. It feels expansive.
It does, but then it immediately gets very specific, mapping out this whole geographical journey.
Right, contrasting the big idea with concrete places. Where does it start?
Starts with being born in Esslingen, Germany, on a snowy night, it says.
Okay, an international start.
Then childhood in Erzurum, which it calls Dadaşlar Diyarı.
Land of the Dadas. That's got some cultural weight to it. Known for being quite resilient, patriotic people.
Exactly. Then high school was in Isparta, the goose area.
Rose City, famous for its roses, yeah.
Then for his undergraduate degree, he went to Uludas University in Bursa. Yeşil Bursa. Green Bursa.
Green Bursa, known for its nature. So
Yeah.
It's like a tour through different regional identities, almost.
Totally. And it keeps going. Master's and doctorate at Celal Bayar University in Manisa.
Manisa. Şehzadler Kenti Manisa, city of princes. That's the historical Ottoman connection where princes used to govern.
Right. Then worked as a lecturer down in Musla at Milas Vocational School. And Musla is called Turizm Ceneti Musla.
Tourism paradise Musla. Makes sense. Beautiful coast down there.
Yeah. And then becoming an associate professor and now working in Edirne.
Edirne. Trakianan Avupaya Koprusu. Thrace's bridge to Europe. Right on the border.
So you see this whole life path laid out through these cities, each with its own nickname and character. Germany, then all across Turkey.
It's a fascinating way to tell life's story, using these places and their common descriptions. It maps out not just location, but periods of life, academic steps, different regional vibes, concluding in a place that's all about connection.
And there's a link for his academic resume, too, if you want the formal details.
Makes sense. So that's the background, the journey. What about that unforgettable section? Audiovifa.
Okay, yeah, this section, I found this really interesting, the title itself. Unforgettable people who have directed my life. That's a strong claim, isn't it? Directed my life.
Very strong. Not just inspired or influenced, but directed.
Yeah.
So who's on this list? Who gets that credit?
Well, first up, maybe not surprisingly, in a Turkish context, is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk.
Right, the founder of the Republic.
Yeah, and the note says, "We will never forget you. Adam, we follow in your footsteps." Very clear respect there.
Sets a foundational tone, grounded in national history.
Then it moves into academia. Professor Dr. Ilker Passis described as a teacher whose lessons you never wanted to end. Someone who really contributed a lot to the economy, students, academia.
That's high praise for an educator, someone captivating.
And then Professor Dr. Ömer Akete, called exemplary, personality-wise and scientifically, mentioned with a smile, apparently taught about every year.
Teaching about a mentor every year. That shows a really deep, ingrained influence on his own professional path.
Definitely. Now, here's where it gets maybe unexpected for some. The next name, Rick Wright.
Rick Wright. From Pink Floyd.
The very same. The source says Pink Floyd was key to his musical identity, calls Wright unforgettable as a keyboard player. Even quotes, "Shine on you, crazy diamond."
Wow. Okay, so we go from Ataturk and esteemed professors
Yeah.
to the keyboardist from Pink Floyd. That's quite a juxtaposition.
It really is. It suggests that formative, life-directing influence, for this person anyway, isn't just about history or academia. Music is right up there.
Yeah, passion, creativity, seen as just as powerful in shaping who you are. That's a significant statement in itself. Who else?
Back to academia briefly, Professor Dr. Tuna Tanner, credited as being really influential in him starting his academic career, says, "We learned a lot from you."
Another key mentor figure.
And then another musician, Badrish Mancho again.
Ah, the same artist quoted in the About section. Brings it full circle.
Exactly. Says he grew up with Manso's music, now raising his daughter with it. Quotes a line from a song, something like, "Children continue to become men. We haven't forgotten you."
That connection across generations linked back to that initial "world is my homeland" quote.
Hmm.
It really reinforces Manso's importance to his identity.
And one more, Asim Kangunduz. Described as unique in Turkey, remembered for his smile and joy, calls him Awesome John.
Awesome John, yeah, the guitarist. Another musical figure known for his positive energy.
So that's the list. Ataturk, 3 professors, 3 musicians, right? Manso Gungus.
What a mix. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? You've got the National Foundation, the intellectual guidance from mentors, and then this deep connection to music, classic rock, Turkish pop rock icons. It suggests a really rounded set of values, history, thought, and art, all credited with directing his life.
Yeah, it feels like a very intentional curation of influences. Tells you a lot about what matters to him.
Absolutely. So that's the foundation, the journey, the key people. What about the now? The Sunhaberler latest news section.
Right. This gives us a glimpse into current activities, recent thoughts shared on the site.
Okay, what's been posted?
Well, one item is about a new deep dive broadcast, apparently prepared using Google NotebookLM. So an AI-supported thing.
Interesting. Using AI to discuss the website's own content. That's quite meta.
Yeah, it is. Shows an engagement with current tech, using the site as a springboard for new stuff.
What else?
There's a post about May 19th, connects it back to Ataturk, liberation, the start of the independence movement, and dedicates it as Youth and Sports Day, especially to young people.
So reinforcing that connection to Ataturk and national history we saw earlier. Consistent themes.
Definitely. Then there's one about Mother's Day, Anılar Günü. It says mothers deserve more than one day, which is nice.
A common sentiment, but how does he frame it?
He actually lists specific groups of mothers he's thinking of. His own mother, mother-in-law, his wife, his sister, colleagues who are mothers, mothers of students, students who are mothers, and then all mothers.
Wow, that's very encompassing. It shows a real appreciation across different spheres, family, work, the student community. Quite personal.
It felt very personal, yeah.
No.
And finally, it just explicitly mentions again that the radio broadcast has started, just confirming what was hinted on the homepage.
Okay, so the news section shows him engaging with holidays, national events, technology, media formats like radio, and sharing some personal reflections too. It adds a layer of current activity on top of the foundational stuff.
And of course, there's a contact page, a letishim, just a standard form to get in touch.
Standard, but necessary for a personal site, allows interaction.
Oh, and a tiny detail for the technically minded, the footer says it's built with WordPress using the Mesmerize theme.
Good to know. A little peek behind the curtain.
So let's try and connect the dots here for you, the listener. We've seen this geographical journey, this really diverse list of unforgettable people, and these recent updates. What picture does it paint overall?
Well, I think it functions very clearly as a digital self-portrait, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely curated.
The selection of places tells a story of movement and belonging. But that unforgettable list, that's the core, I think. It reveals someone shaped profoundly by history, by specific mentors, but just as much by music and maybe the emotion or creativity that represents.
Ataturk, professors, Pink Floyd, Boris Manso. It's not a conventional list.
Not at all. And it suggests someone who values intellectual rigor alongside artistic passion, seeing them both as life-directing forces. The news items then show this identity isn't just historical, it's active, engaging with today's world, technology, and personal connections.
It feels like an integration of the academic and the personal, the historical and the contemporary.
Exactly. It's a complex portrait, deliberately shared.
So we've taken this deep dive into one person's online space, vulcandion.com. It's a pretty compelling look at how someone chooses to present themselves and their influences online.
It really is. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. As we look at how this individual has shared their geographical path, their key influencers, their recent activities, how well does our own online presence whatever form it takes, reflect the perhaps complex and diverse mix of experiences and people that actually shape us?
That's a good question. How much of our own unforgettable list makes it into our digital selves? Something to think about.